Have you ever heard the story of a man who defied God in every way possible, sank into deep darkness, and yet found redemption? Get ready to discover the trajectory of Manasseh, one of the most wicked kings of Israel, whose life teaches us that it is never too late to change. Stay with us until the end, because this story reveals something surprising about repentance and God's immense grace. Manasseh was the son of King Hezekiah, one of the most righteous rulers the kingdom of Judah had known. Under Hezekiah's reign, the people returned to seek God, the idols were destroyed, and the temple was cleansed. 2 Kings 18:1-7. But when Hezekiah died, Manasseh, still very young, inherited the throne. And it was at that moment that everything changed. Unlike his father, Manasseh abandoned the ways of the Lord and did what was evil in the eyes of God. 2 Kings 21:1-2. The Bible tells us that he rebuilt the pagan altars that his father had destroyed, erected idols of Baal and Asherah within God's own temple, and even sacrificed his own children in fire as offerings to foreign gods. 2 Kings 21:3-6. Imagine the impact of this on the people of Judah, who saw their king lead a movement of open rebellion against the God who had freed them from slavery in Egypt. Manasseh not only promoted idolatry, but also persecuted those who opposed him. Prophets were killed, including, according to Jewish tradition, the prophet Isaiah, who was reportedly sawn in half by order of the king. Hebrews 11:37. Manasseh's cruelty knew no bounds, and the blood of innocents flooded the streets of Jerusalem. 2 Kings 21-16. Under his leadership, the kingdom of Judah descended into spiritual and moral chaos. Now, imagine living in a society where the top leader disregards what is fair and promotes evil as the norm. Doesn't it sound eerily familiar? Too often, our modern realities reflect the same struggles between justice and corruption, faith and apostasy. The example of Manasseh invites us to reflect. Who are we following, and what values do we defend? If you are feeling touched by this story, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone special. Subscribe to the channel to follow more impactful stories like this. Let's continue, because Manasseh's journey still has surprising twists and turns. For many years, Manasseh lived in complete rebellion against God. He ignored the warning sent by the prophets, hardened his heart, and plunged the people of Judah into almost irreversible darkness. 2 Chronicles 33:10. But God, in his justice, would not ignore these sins. The Lord allowed the army of Assyria to invade Judah and capture Manasseh. The king, who once sat on a majestic throne, was taken to Babylon bound with chains and hooks, humiliated like a slave. 2 Chronicles 33:11. This was the turning point in the story of Manasseh. During his captivity, something extraordinary happened. For the first time, he recognized his weakness and cried out to God for mercy. The Bible reports that he deeply humbled himself before the Lord, prayed and sought God's forgiveness. 2 Chronicles 33:12-13. And most impressively, God heard him. The story of Manasseh shows us how merciful God is. Even after years of rebellion and terrible crimes, Manasseh's sincere repentance touched the heart of God. And then, against all expectations, Manasseh was restored to the throne in Jerusalem. This return was not just a political act, but a powerful testimony to the transformative power of repentance. When Manasseh returned, he did something no one could have predicted. He destroyed the idols he had erected, ordered the purification of the temple, and called on the people to return to the God of their ancestors. 2 Chronicles 33:15-16. Manasseh's transformation was so radical that to this day his story is considered one of the greatest demonstrations of divine grace in the Bible. This is the moment when we are invited to reflect. If God can forgive someone like Manasseh, what does that say about his love for us? No matter how far we have come, there is still hope for those who sincerely turn to the Lord. Perhaps today is the day for you to reconsider your own choices and seek God with a humble heart. If this message is touching you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This way you can follow more stories like this, full of inspiration and hope. Also, take the opportunity to like and share with friends and family who need a word of encouragement. Manasseh's transformation challenges us to think about something fundamental. To what extent do we believe in the possibility of change? We are often quick to judge and slow to believe that someone can redeem themselves. However, the story of Manasseh reminds us that God does not see as we do. He not only forgives, but also restores. This brings us to a practical point. Are we willing to extend the same grace we received? In our lives, there may be people we consider lost, but God may be working in ways we cannot see. Just as Manasseh needed to go through moments of pain to recognize his need for God, sometimes our struggles and failures can be the path to deeper transformation. And what about you? Is there something in your life that needs to be surrendered to God? Perhaps there is an area of your life where you feel there is no hope. Remember, the story of Manasseh proves that it is never too late for a new beginning. If you think this reflection is important, leave your comment below. We want to hear your opinion and testimonies. Don't forget to like this video and send it to someone who needs to hear this message of hope. By the end of Manasseh's life, the people of Judah had a powerful example of how God can transform even the worst sinners. Still, the consequences of Manasseh's sins continued to impact the kingdom for generations. It reminds us that our choices impact not only ourselves, but also everyone around us. 2 Kings 21:11-15. The story of Manasseh is a warning, but also a promise. It alerts us to the danger of moving away from God and the inevitable consequences of sin. At the same time, it is a promise that sincere repentance brings forgiveness and restoration. And now, the decision is yours. Are you willing to seek God with all your heart? Are you ready to let go of the past and allow Him to transform your life? If this message touched your heart, take a moment to pray and reflect. Share this video with someone who needs this message and help spread hope and faith. Subscribe to the channel for more content that inspires and strengthens your spiritual journey. May the story of Manasseh continue to remind us of God's incredible grace, which transforms even the deepest darkness into light.